Rad and I believe our superpower is being able to instantly identify where you are on your journey and exactly what you need most to get your next giant leap forwards. By applying the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid, to thousands of our client case studies and our own personal experiences, we have broken flexibility development into three simple stages. Stage one is when you're just starting your stretching journey and you want your first quick win. Stage two is when you're stretching regularly with decent mobility but hitting roadblocks. And stage three is flexible but need more strength or strong but lack flexibility. Our UMS tribe thrives because help get you laser focused on the 20% of content that will deliver 80% of your results. So, Unity Gym basically is the 80/20 principle, the Pareto law applied to health and fitness. Knowing the three stages and what stage you're at in your journey can be the difference between frustrating plateaus, painful injuries, and monumental leaps forward in skill. Now, the way we describe stage three here is very, very simplified. And so, in today's podcast, Rad and I are going to take a deep dive into what that actually means and what else qualifies as stage three.
Nice one, Yani. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. So, if you're wondering more about what stage one, two, and three are, you can grab the flexibility blueprint. It's free. Just click that link there. Click or tap the screen if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening to the podcast, there's a link in the description of the podcast. And it's going to give you a really
Yeah,
clear
don't tap the
understanding.
screen if you're listening to the podcast, it won't do anything.
It won't do anything. That's right. But it's going to give you a really clear understanding of what stage one, two, and three is. And if you are stage one, two, or three yourself, this is a good little illustration of what they are. Because stage one is when you're just starting out. Stage two is when you have some experience with stretching, but you've hit roadblocks and you can't unlock those advanced skills like pancakes and middle splits and back bridges. And stage three, which is what we want to talk about today, in the flexibility blueprint, we talk about stage three as being when you're either strong but lack flexibility or when you're flexible but lack strength. But in today's podcast, we're going to go deeper than that. We're going to talk about that stage three is basically for anybody that's willing to commit to a structured program for at least 3 days a week that combines strength and flexibility. Because the people that have had the greatest result with our stage three program, which is the UMS app, or what we call the UMS tribe membership, which gives you access to the UMS app. Those folks are people that have at least 12 months experience training in whatever it is that they love to do. So we've had martial artists with 30 years experience. We've had rock climbers. We've had CrossFit athletes that have been training for 10 years. We've had people that have been hitting the gym doing regular weightlifting, doing things like P90X and whatever else, other strength programs for 15 years. And those are the people that have absolutely raved about the UMS as it being groundbreaking because of the way that it combines strength and flexibility into the same workout and gives people structural balance that they've never experienced before. And so that's what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah, it's the specialist stage. I call it the specialist stage when I write about it because it's really about those people who have done something for long enough with the enough intensity and volume to effectively specialize in it. And it could be for me for many many years it was boxing, for Rad it was martial arts, and we've seen yogis, we've seen as Rad said we've had power lifters, rugby league players, professional rugby league players, Ironmen, people who are real specialists in what they do. And what happens at that point is either one, the person gets sort of bored of it. Two, you get the specialist disease, dis-ease, meaning your body is now not healthy because of it. And that's very common. And not many people like to admit it. But I assure you, when you do one thing and only one thing for long enough, you get the specialist disease. You get what Ido Portal, I think I heard him say at first, they're specialist injuries. You only get those injuries because you're overdoing one thing and neglecting everything else. And therefore you generally are, out of balance. And to be the problem with being a specialist is, and this is the specialist conundrum, you have to specialize in what you do to become really good at what you're doing. if you want to compete at a high level at CrossFit, you got to do CrossFit, man. You got to if you want to compete at powerlifting, you've got to basically neglect everything else and just focus on powerlifting. It's very hard otherwise to get that strong in the three disciplines of squatting, bench press, and deadlift if you don't do squatting, bench press, and deadlift a hell of a lot. But the downside to that, of course, is that you end up with the specialist disease, and that is injuries related to that sport because you just do so much of it. And It's a great video of Wingy getting his first muscle up.
Yeah, if
For those of you,
anybody from Australia, that's Craig Wing at Unity Gym getting his first ever muscle up, and he was
there was Link getting his first muscle up.
yeah,
The
this is a
actor.
video of muscle up first here.
It's
But
great.
Craig, when Craig came to us, he had finished his professional rugby career at the absolute highest level, and he
And
just
the
told me
Archie from
how
Vodafone, go son.
yeah, he told me
Oh, this
how
brings back memories watching this.
yeah, it sure does. But he told me how he'd never seen flexibility training like what we do at Unity Gym in his decades of being a professional rugby player, professional NRL, so rugby league
He did
and
both.
rugby.
He
Yeah.
finished his career as a rugby union player in Japan.
Yeah, he'd never see it. He'd never seen it before, and he said him and all the guys that he trains with are just so stiff and beat up because they just did absolutely zero flexibility work. So yeah, it's like what Yanni said. It's this specialist disease. It's this thing where you just get laser focused on what it is that you've been doing for a year, 5 years, 10 years, and you get really really good at that thing. But you start to realize that you're really bad at everything else. The whole reason why the UMS became what it is because Yani and I suffered from this ourselves. When
We
we
suffered the specialist disease at the highest level.
Yeah, we suffered badly. Like I was a martial artist and I was a real specialist martial artist and I wasn't even that flexible. I could pull myself into specific martial arts movements, but I didn't have the flexibility that I have now, not even close because the reason what really humbled me was when I tried to do a press to handstand for the first time when I was trying with calisthenics and I just couldn't even come close to doing a proper pike compression. And anyway, so Yanni and I, what we had was, but I was more flexible than Yanni. So I was more flexible and I was way weaker than he was. And Yanni was way stronger than me, but far less flexible. And we
The
didn't
other way
train.
you can say that is that Yanni is a lot stronger than me.
Yeah, you could say that.
Sounds better. That's it.
But we didn't train together for at least 10 years. And when I say we didn't train together, I mean not a single training session. You remember that? through our 30s, most of our 30s, sorry, 20s, we didn't train together a single training session. I did Kung
No.
Fu and Yanni did boxing and went to the gym. And then when I got out of the army in 2012, we started training together for the first time ever. And we started to see how different what each other's strengths were and things that I thought that I was okay at. Yanni had never tried before and he just annihilated me in it and vice versa. And it was that I had more flexibility than Yanni and Yanni had more strength than me. And so the birth of the UMS, it really came probably from an ego bash from Yanni and me. Both our egos just got crushed when we trained together because of the way that each of us could outdo the other so badly in certain areas. And it made us
Things that
both
we were quite passionate about.
yeah, and it made us both realize for the first time that despite our best efforts and despite training really hard and really regularly through our 20s, like 5 or 6 days a week for, 1.5 to 2 hour training sessions a day, way more than what the average person does, we were really imbalanced and we didn't actually have a good generalization that could be applied to different things, which meant for me, and it was probably Yanni as well, when I started to do calisthenics, I just couldn't do it well because I didn't have the strength for it and I didn't have the structural balance in my body. And it made us we were fortunate enough that we didn't have a big enough ego that we just rejected it, which is what we see so many specialists do. See if you can relate to this. When you've put in 5, 10, 15 years in something and you're really good at what you do and you go into a room where you're learning something new and you're an absolute beginner and so you reject it and you think, no, this is crap, I'm not going to do this, I'm just going to stick in my lane that I'm really good at. And we were fortunate enough that we didn't do that. We embraced the idea that we were a beginner and we needed to learn this stuff, and that's what led us down this road of learning about flexibility and developing. We started with stage 1 mobility where we were doing a 20-minute mobility flexibility routine every day, and that gave us our first breakthrough in 28 days. And that's what we recommend every beginner do. You need to keep it simple. You need to do something that empowers you and that makes you feel good. And then we started to plateau, and we started to we wanted to get the middle splits and back bridges and front splits and things like that. But that 20-minute routine that gave us our first result, it wasn't delivering the same result anymore, and we needed to look further. And that's when we developed the flexibility masterclass, when we started to learn about end range strength and loaded stretching and pairing antagonistic movements together. And we developed the flexibility masterclass, which had specific workouts, like a workout for the middle splits and a workout for the front splits and a workout for the back bridge, versus just a general overall body workout. And then eventually that led us to the UMS, where we got to the point where we were investing a lot of time in our flexibility training, and we were also investing a lot of time in strength training. And we had to go, wow, hang on a minute, this is taking too much time out of our day. How do we make this more efficient? And that's what created the UMS, where we for like the next 5 years, we developed these 1 hour workouts that combine strength and flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's probably worth saying that we call it the specialist stage because and we're making a big point of that today on the podcast, but that doesn't mean that that's the only people that can join UMS tribe, because we're making a big point of that today, only because those are the people that really seem to get a radical transformation and really rave about it and just
I,
go,
I'm going to
wow, this
jump.
is revolutionary.
I'm going to jump
But
in there. I don't think.
UMS starts as a beginner program. Whether you're doing the home workouts or the gym workouts. There's also a plethora of rehab programs that have been adopted by physical therapists around the world because they're so effective. There's the calisthenics masterclass. There's, I think, multiple stages of the flexibility masterclass in there. And there's even 3 different versions of the 20-minute mobility routine in there. There's so much in there. There's something for everybody. And of course, we help construct the right program, routine, schedule, whatever you want to call it, based on a massive pre-exercise questionnaire that you fill out at the start. So we get to know you, we get to know your history, we get to know your goals, we get to know the timeframes that you're working in mentally, and then you're going to work with a coach to a lot of the time it'll be Rad to find the best solution based on all of that sort of stuff. So don't listen to this or watch this on YouTube and think, oh my God, this is only for elite level athletes. Sure, we've had some of the most elite level athletes come through the program, but the majority of people, the vast majority of people are mums and dads, just like you and me, who just want a solution that's not going to bang them up. They want to be able to enjoy the things they love for their best years, which I believe is, your 30s, 40s, 50s and beyond, and those are the people we serve best.
Yeah, and I would like to elaborate on that a little, or just give my 2 cents on it. It's not that it's for advanced people. It's that people that have been training for several years and really committed to something, they're the ones that appreciate it the most. Because when it's this, once you've tried the rest and you check out the best, that's when you get
You
really
know,
excited.
if you don't know, now you know, like
Yeah,
Dana
that's right.
White.
That's right. And so
If you
when
don't know, now you know.
we
That's
get, but it's the truth. The people that have trained for years in other styles, when they find the UMS, they find it revolutionary, and they get an incredible result. And so if you haven't done so yet, and you want to know more about this stage 1, 2, and 3, get the flexibility blueprint, because we have put an obscene amount of work into this. This is free. It's completely free. And it teaches you all about stage 1, 2, and 3. And it gives you hacks for stage 1, 2, and 3 development. So, and everything's got a video to go with it as well. So you're not just reading, you have an incredible video that teaches you the lesson that you've just watched. It's easily the most valuable content that we've ever created that's free. And in the very least, it's going to help you to clarify whether you're stage 1, 2, and 3, and what you need to focus on to get that next leap, to go from stage 1, to go from stage 2, to go from stage 3. And what it's going to really help you to do is to cut through the clutter on YouTube, because we have a real problem in the world at the moment, and that is that there is so much content. There's more free content now than there's ever been before. When we started on YouTube 8 years ago or so, there weren't many other fitness influencers that were, preaching this flexibility stuff. There's a lot now. And with the amount of YouTube videos that are out there, the reason you have to ask, why am I watching all of these videos but not getting the results? And the reason why is because all of the knowledge out there, like you watch a video, you learn something, you go, wow, that's really good, I've learned something. But most of the time, it doesn't actually help you to implement. And implementing is the only thing that gets the result. The knowledge doesn't give you the result when it comes to strength, flexibility, fitness, things like that. It's doing the work and putting together a program that's right for you, whether you're stage 1, 2, or 3. That takes a lot of understanding of how to go from here to there. That's what, as a coach, we devote our lives to, is to understanding how to write good programs. So if you relate to that, if you can relate to watching countless hours of videos every week on YouTube, trying to learn more so that you can level up, but you're still not getting those results, then this is really going to help you, because it's going to help you to understand, to identify what stage you're at, and then cut out the 80% of the content that isn't right for you and focus in on the 20% that's going to give you 80% of the results.
Yep.
And that's it, team.
And tell them where they can get that blueprint from.
Well, if you're watching on YouTube, you can click or tap the screen there to get it. And if you're listening to the podcast, you can click the link in the pinned comment. And hey, if you got
Also
value out of
available on
this,
our website.
yeah,
Also available on our website.
of course,
UnityGym.com.
if you go to the homepage of our website, you'll see it right there. Now, if you got value out of this, Yani and I put a lot of content out there. We put a lot of free content so that we can try to help people to get a really big breakthrough with their training. So here it is on our website if you just go to unitygym.com. And with all the free content that we put out, the only thing that we ask for in return is if you got value out of this, if you've listened to this or you've watched the video and you got value out of it, please share it with a friend, because the moment of you sharing this, it really helps us. It's the only thing that we ask in return for giving you guys all this free content, but it might change the life of your friend. It might be the thing that gives them the push that they need to really level up. So do that right now. Hit the share button on wherever you're watching or listening to this. Do it right now and copy that link and then just paste it into a comment or a message or an email or whatever. Send it through to your friend. It would mean the world to us, and it might change the life of one of your friends.
And I'll just add to that, if you're one of the people, one of the tens of thousands of people who watch this podcast purely because you think that Rad is just so incredibly good looking, share it too. You don't have to share it just because you thought it was good content. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in our next episode.